Hey, welcome back. So, something happened this week that I genuinely did not expect, and I want to talk about it straight away because I think a lot of people are misreading it completely. Michael Saylor, the guy who has said buy Bitcoin forever and never sell, just said on his own earnings call that he might sell some Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is sitting at 80k right now, nearly 81k, and I want to show you why those two things together actually tell a really interesting story. So let's get into it. And there's one number I want to show you on the chart in a second because it's the closest it's been to a key level in months. So stay with me. Okay, chart. I'm going to keep this really simple today. So here's where we are. Two lines that all you need to focus on today. The blue line at the bottom, 68k, that's the 200-week EMA. Think of it as Bitcoin's long-term floor, the price that has held through every crash in Bitcoin's history. It's well below us right now, and that's good. The blue line above us, 82k, that's the 200-day EMA. Think of it as the ceiling we need to break through right now. Bitcoin is sitting at $80,992. We are $1,000 below that ceiling. If Bitcoin closes above 82k, the next targets are 85k and then 90k. Simple as that. If we get rejected and pull back, 78k to 80k is the support zone where I'd be looking to add. The RSI, the momentum indicator, is around 60 to 65k, healthy, not overbought, room to move higher actually. And the MVRV on the other hand, which is just a fancy way of saying is Bitcoin cheap or expensive right now, is at 0.91. Anything below 1 means Bitcoin is still undervalued compared to what people paid for it. We're almost at fair value. The deep discount is closing, but we're not in overvalued territory yet. Now, Sailor, I know that's what most of you came for. Let me explain what actually happened because the headline version is completely wrong. And by the way, Bitcoin is literally $1,000 away from a major level right now. If it breaks, it could move fast. You want to be already founded and ready. I use Bitunix, no KYC, deposit takes 2 minutes. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. Seriously, do it now. Okay, here's what happened with Sailor, and I'm going to explain it as simply as I can. Strategy, Sailor's company, reported $12.5 billion loss for first quarter. That sounds terrible, but almost all of it is what's called an unrealized loss, meaning Bitcoin fell 24% in first quarter and their holdings dropped in value on paper. They didn't actually lose 12.5 billion in cash, they just marked their Bitcoin down on the balance sheet. And here's the thing, Bitcoin is already up nearly 20% since April 1st, so that paper loss is already being reversed in second quarter. Now, what Saylor actually said about selling Bitcoin? His exact words were that strategy would probably sell some Bitcoin to fund a dividend just to inoculate the market, just to send the message that we did. And then he said the market would see that the company is fine, the Bitcoin's fine, the world didn't come to an end. So think about that for a second. He's not saying we are in trouble and we need cash. He's saying we're going to sell a tiny amount specifically to prove to the world that we can do it calmly and nothing bad happens. That is a confidence move, not a distress signal. Strategy holds 818,334 Bitcoin worth $66.7 billion. A small dividend related sale is genuinely a rounding error on that number. And here's the most important thing. After Saylor said this, Bitcoin held above 80k. The market heard Saylor might sell some Bitcoin and basically shrugged. That's actually a real bullish signal because it means the market is strong enough to absorb even bad sounding Saylor headlines without falling apart. And the ETF picture this week backs that up completely. Let me show you the numbers. The ETF data this week is simple and strong. Monday, 532 million into Bitcoin ETFs. Tuesday, $467 million, nearly $1 billion in 2 days. Since May 1st alone, $1.63 billion has flowed in. Total assets across all Bitcoin ETFs now sit at $109 billion, the highest all year. And Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Blauschan said something this week that really stuck with me. He said Bitcoin fell 50% during this cycle, but Bitcoin ETFs only saw 8% outflows. In other words, the people who bought Bitcoin through ETFs basically didn't sell. They held through one of the worst drawdowns in years. That's not retail panic selling, that's institutional patience. And $1 billion in 2 days coming back, it tells you those same people are now buying again. Fear and greed is at 47 neutral. Think about where we started this journey. We were at 8 out of 100, and now we're at 47. The fear is clearing, not gone. And one more quick one. Colombia's president just proposed turning the Caribbean Caribbean coast into a Bitcoin mining hub using the country's surplus renewable energy. Colombia already generates 75% of its electricity from renewables, another country treating Bitcoin as serious economic infrastructure. And here's my honest take and the one date you need to put in your calendar right now. And by the way, before my take, Bitunix is where I trade, no KYC. Get founded before this market moves. Link is in the description and pinned in the comments. And here's where I actually stand. Bitcoin is $1,000 below the 200-day EMA. The market just shrugged at a sailor sell headline. Nearly $1 billion flowed into ETFs in 2 days. Fear and greed went from 8 to 47. NVRV at 0.91, still undervalued, but the discount is shrinking, and Colombia just joined the list of countries treating Bitcoin as real infrastructure. The thing I'm watching most right now, and put this in your calendar, is June 17th. That's the Fed rate decision, 5 weeks away. The whole reason Bitcoin struggled earlier this year was because oil was high, inflation was sticky, and the Fed couldn't cut. If the Fed signals any shift on June 17th, this market moves fast. My plan? That's simple. Bitcoin closes above 82k on the daily. I add that blue ceiling line breaks and I want to be in. Bitcoin pulls back to 78k to 80k. I add there too. Either way, I'm buying because the big picture hasn't changed. What I'm not doing is selling because Sailor mentioned selling, because the market just told me exactly how it feels about that headline. It held 80k, that's the answer. Base case, 82k breaks, 85k, then 90k before or after the June 17th Fed decision. Risk case, on the other hand, 82k rejects us, pulls back to 78k to 80k. Add there, wait for the next attempt. The only level that matters here is 82k. Watch the daily close. That's my read, simple as I can make it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.